It's Christmas! Got all your presents wrapped? You know what? For so many of us, this is not the happiest season. In fact, I was a high school counselor for many years, and Christmas and graduation were the two times where I saw that it was the toughest on these kids. Because really, what I found is that these special days, these events, don't come across as a time where the family is getting together in celebration. In fact, what it becomes is a magnifying glass for what they don't have: family's cohesion, or a loving relationship, or a family that's intact. Whereas it's supposed to be a time of celebration and happiness and family connection, sometimes all it does is put a spotlight on what we don't have and what could have been. Hi, my name is Lisa, and if you're new to the channel, I'm 58, divorced, retired, and so what I like to talk about is basically starting over again in our 50s, getting through those really tough times, and how we can create a life beyond. Today I want to share some really heartfelt stories with you, with the hopes that you get something out of this to help get you through some of these really frustrating events that are supposed to be about happiness and love and celebration, and they end up being really quite depressing. I also want to point out that even though I was married, so I was married to the father of my children for almost 20 years, even in the marriage, I felt incredibly lonely around anniversary time. I dreaded anniversaries because they were supposed to be about celebrating our marriage, celebrating our connection, our love, blah, blah, blah. And we did not have a healthy marriage. And so it was basically a reminder to me, and same thing with Valentine's Day, that this was not a healthy marriage. And it basically rubbed salt in the wound, I guess you could say, knowing that I was not in a good place in my life and in my marriage. So I guess by sharing this, I just want to say that you do not have to be single and you do not have to go through a loss in order to feel alone on these very special occasions. But fast forward, and after my husband and I split and I'm on my own, and that first Valentine's Day came up, and I was thinking, okay, I don't have a significant other in my life, but I still wanted to celebrate love. So who is it that I feel most grateful for, and I really wanted to do something nice for? And it was my girl gang, the friends that stood by me, listened to me bellyache for hours at a time, and just were there, that solid presence in my life, and I wanted to do something nice for them. So I went out, bought myself a whole case of wine and a bunch of flowers, and I spent Valentine's Day driving from house to house to house. And all I did was text them ahead of time and said, hey, you home? And for the ones who were, then I pulled up and I just met them at the front door, right? Gave them a bottle of wine, gave them their long-stemmed rose, gave them a hug, told them I love them, how much they meant to me, how grateful I was for them. That was it. 10-minute conversation, and off I went. On to the next one. And I have to tell you, that way of celebrating who was really important to me, and to me, that was a true celebration of love. So I basically reclaimed that day. And Valentine's Day to me, since that time, has meant something positive. It's meant something about giving. And a few years later, I found myself, I was in Hollywood, actually, on Valentine's Day. And I was on my way to a Kelly Clarkson show. And I'm very excited, but I still want to continue with my Valentine's Day tradition. So what I ended up doing was I found a little coffee shop that was very similar to like a Starbucks, bought a whole bunch of breakfast food, and gave it to a few of the people that were sleeping on the street. And the gratitude and the conversation that ensued after that just filled my heart. And again, Valentine's Day then became about giving, about showing people compassion and love and generosity, and just making the world a better place. So maybe that's something you can pull from that. Redefine what Valentine's Day is all about for you and create it in a way that it becomes special to you for your reasons, not what the movies or the Hallmark cards tell us what this day is supposed to be all about. Another story I want to share with you is my first Christmas after my husband and I split. And of course, the guilt, the loss of what should have been, all of the feels are just piling on me. And so that made Christmas Day even tougher for me, also because I spent it alone. I wanted to try to make Christmas as easy for my kids as possible, because this was going to be the first time they were going to do it in two different places. So, and I didn't want them to have to travel on Christmas Day, so they went to their father's for the actual Christmas Day. So I spent that day alone, and that was a very tough day. I have to admit, that was a tough day. And then the kids came to see me the next day, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. And again, recreating it, making it our own. And so the kids were really big into putting bacon on everything. So I got this harebrained idea to make it basically a ham stuffed bacon and wrapped turkey. And I made almost like a lattice blanket of bacon that went around the turkey and stuffed it full of ham. We didn't have the stuffing. It was just a completely different kind of turkey dinner. And the kids still talk about that today because it was unique. It was weird. And by the way, the turkey meat was amazing. It was juicy and tender. And I think the bacon kept all the juices inside. So even though I made it as sort of a little bit of fun, a little bit of a joke, actually, we continued to do it in subsequent years because it worked out so great. Something else that's helped me out a lot over the years, especially with regard to Christmas, is letting go. So now that my kids are married, and so not only do they go see their dad and his wife, and in fact, there was one Christmas we all got together. So it's nice that we're amicable this way, but still, there's distance involved because we don't live in the same area. So my kids, they go to their in-laws sometimes, and then they're trying to fit in friends and work and everything. So I've tried very hard to be just really easygoing about it. And what I say to the kids is, I don't care what day it is. It does not have to be the 25th. It could be the 27th. Like, so for this year, they're not coming to the 27th. So this year on Christmas Day, I've got completely different plans. And then the kids are all going to come see me on the 27th. Because to me, it's not about the day. It's about the event of us all getting together. The other thing I let go of is turkey dinner. Because by the time the kids see me, they've had, 2 or 3 turkey dinners. And to be honest with you, so have I, with all the different events that I've been going to. So we like to do something different. One year we had steak and shrimp. We had a barbecue for Christmas. They really liked that. And what I really appreciated was my boys seeing all the work I would put into like a big turkey dinner over the years. And they came to me and said, "You know what, Mom? As much as we love this and appreciate all the work that you're doing, what we'd really like to do is stop focusing so much on the food part of it and focus more on getting you back involved with, playing the games and hanging out and visiting. And let's have an easier way of doing the food. So because we're getting together on the 27th, we could actually order food in, or have very low key kind of food like lasagna, for example, and then just throw it in the oven and have some pre-made things that we can throw it onto the table." So I appreciate their thoughtfulness over this so much, and the fact that they too see it as a chance for connection. and playing games and just having fun together. It's not so much about the day, it's not about the 25th, right? It's about us getting together as a family and enjoying each other's company. I guess this topic really means a lot to me because it's definitely something that I have been navigating for the last 15 years. And the research out there talks about how it's really all about the loss of what we thought our lives would be, the loss of potential, the loss of what should have been. That really is more the root of our pain than the actual loss of that person. Is do I miss my ex-husband? No. But it's not the picture that I thought my life would be at this point, you know? It's not the kind of life that I would have liked to have given my kids. So it's the loss of what I'd hoped my life would be at this point, I guess. So what does the research say in terms of how to deal with this? Well, they talk about reclaiming that day for yourself, just like I talked about with what I did with the February thing. No one told me to do that. It was just an aha I had one day, and it really, really did work for me. So I'm glad the research backs up what I learned on my own. The research also talks about things like um, practicing gratitude. Instead of focusing so much on what we don't have during these times, focus on what we do have. And sometimes when we actually sit down and write it out, we're surprised at how much we actually do have going well in our lives. Another big factor is doing for others, putting your energy into helping out, especially at Christmas time, worthy causes, like working at the food banks, serving dinners on Christmas Day, helping out with toy runs for little kids, going to seniors' homes and playing games, reading to them, taking your neighbors' dogs for walks if they're incapable of doing so, or signing up for a neighborhood dog walking program. The list is endless as to how you can use your talents and your time to make this world a better place. Because when we give back, there's an adrenaline rush, a hormone release that actually makes us feel super, super good. Very much like the endorphins we get when we exercise, which is another thing we should also do. During this time when it's super stressful, be really careful about your health, getting your exercise, eating right, getting sleep, because during these really difficult times, you need to focus on those things more than ever. I guess what I would really like to pass on to you today is that I totally get it. I remember the first time going through the grocery store and realizing that I didn't have a huge meal to prepare for that Christmas. And it was in that quiet moment that it just gripped me. And I realized how different my life had strayed from what I thought it was going to be. And I had a panic attack in the grocery store because of it. It can just sneak up on you, that anxiety of, oh my goodness, like this is my life. And it is scary and painful all at the same time. But you know what? It gets better. Little by little, it gets better. And as long as we decide that we are going to shape what it's going to look like and we take control back. So yes, we can grieve. We can grieve what was. We can grieve what could have been. We can also change the rules. And sometimes we just survive from day to day. And all of the above is completely okay. So if you feel comfortable in sharing, I'd like to know, how do you handle these holidays? Have you made any changes to these holidays in order to make them kinder for yourself? And perhaps an idea that you have could be exactly what somebody else needs to hear. And if this video resonated with you, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe. This is the kind of content that I'd like to share. Just real life, honest revelations I've had with the hopes that they can help somebody else. In the meantime, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, Have a wonderful day.